The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Benton County Fire, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38653. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks on the passenger and driver's side frame rail. Moving up onto the face of the bumper extension is where you'll find dual air horns on the left and right side. Located on the passenger side, you'll find your mechanical siren. And directly in the center, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving up to the extension, you'll find a hose storage location. D-handle gains you access into that space. Also, a swivel discharge located on the front bumper. As we move to the cab face, on the outer edge, you'll find a turn indicator marker light. Just inside that location, you'll find the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam is located on the inside. Just up from that, you'll find your emergency warning light cluster. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. On the outer edge of the A-pillar is where you'll find the mirror, housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 identification clearance lights. And moving up onto the roof of the apparatus is your emergency warning light bar. Located inside the light bar in the center is your opticom. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the front bumper area. First, starting on the side, where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Into the hose storage location, where there's dry deck material, D-handle gains you access. Swivel front discharge, which is foam capable. Let's take a look at a full side view of the apparatus. We'll move into the cab section next. Starting first down at the front axle, where you'll find a visual sight gauge indicator into the axle area. At the front edge of the cab is where you'll find the drain for your front bumper discharge. Also, side-facing emergency warning light on the bumper extension. Easily accessible with a gloved hand. These are your door lock and latch. They are keyed. And right next to it, you'll find the grab handle to main 3 points of contact when entering or exiting the cab. Directly over the front axle, you'll find the shoreline inlet, auto eject. To the right of that location, a recessed air inlet, outlet, and shut-off valve. We'll come back to the pump panel in just a few moments and cover that in great detail. Moving on to the body section, you'll find just in front of and rear of the axle, storage location for folding wheel chocks. Just in front of the axle, you'll find your turn indicator marker light. And then directly over the rear axle, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving up to the very top, you'll find a trough, which houses your rigid suction. Moving to the rear of the apparatus, emergency warning light upper zone. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. We'll start down at the very bottom with this cluster, indicating at the top an emergency warning light, brake, turn, and reverse light. There are 3 cupped switches in this location. We'll go over those in just a few moments. Moving further up, you'll find rear-facing scene lights. All the way at the very top section, 360-degree emergency warning lights. And then just inside of that location, you'll find additional work lights located on the very top section. As we move down to the driver's side, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. And then moving further to the right, traffic advisor. And underneath that traffic advisor is your backup camera. On the right-hand side, you'll find D-handle gains you access into ground ladder storage. We've now moved around to the passenger side. Let's identify what's different on this side, and that's your exhaust, located just to the forward section of the rear axle. Moving now to the mid section, we'll go over that also in great detail. And then now on to the cab section. Let's go ahead and move now into the driver's space, starting first with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel are all of our safety and warning placards. In addition, with manual window controls, door lock, latch, and a grab handle. As we move to the base of the seat, you'll find your battery voltage indicator. When plugged into Shoreline power, that will become active. The yellow placard located on the right side, we'll cover that in just a moment. Here is the battery voltage indicator. The yellow placard indicates the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, and cold tire inflation. It also has information regarding the VIN number of the vehicle, all of the components, fluid capacities, and also fluid types. Let's move to the floor area, where you'll find a foot pedal for the mechanical siren, and up to about the left knee of the operator, master battery switch. It's the quarter-turn silver switch. Also the tech module, engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic ports, and display port. As we move further down, you'll find ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit switches. Moving up just slightly higher than this, where you'll find the load manager and also activation for your tire chains. On the opposite side of the steering column, you'll find the pump shift. There are instructions for its operation from road to pump and also from pump to road. Just as a reminder for pump operations when leaving the cab, confirm that you have pump engaged and OK to pump illuminating. Just to the right of that location, you'll find your flat mirror and convex mirror control for both passenger and driver side. To the dash cluster on the left, where you'll find your start and ignition switch, an additional switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master, that will engage or disengage all emergency warning lights. Headlight switch and panel switch allows you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. And to the opposite side of the steering column, the OK to engage the high idle switch and indicator. To the left, you'll find your transmission, oil pressure, DEF level, water temperature. On the right side, you'll find volts, fuel, front air, rear air, tachometer, and speedometer are located directly in the center. Diagnostic information regarding your vehicle will appear above and below the speedometer. Let's move just to the right of the driver's seat, where you'll find the yellow diamond. This is pull to apply your parking brake and push to release. That is your rear spring brake. To the right, you'll find the Pierce Command Zone. Tremendous amount of information at your fingertips. Please see the owner's manual for more. Push for wiper fluid, rotate left to right for on for your windshield wipers. Engine brake on and off, and a setting switch for low, medium, and high, mirror heat, and road traction. Just to the right, you'll find the Allison transmission pad, push button digital readout with an informational note to pump and drive. If you choose to check fluid levels from this position, you can push both the positive and negative simultaneously. That will give you a reading within the display area. To exit, just push the in button. To the right, you'll find climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Further to the right, you'll find your unit radio. And as we move overhead of the driver's seat, we have a few switch panels located up at the very top, in addition with some push on and off white or red lenses. Let's go back to the yellow placard indicating the height, 9 feet 10 inches, length of the vehicle, 31 feet 3.75 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 45,000 pounds. Moving just to the right, you're going to find the Emergency Master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Also, high beam flash, air horn, Opticom, and Opticom flash. Just to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor control module, and further to the right, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker system. As we move to the center of the roofline area, you'll find a red flashing light indicating that you have a door open or ajar. Also, seatbelt information will display in this screen indicating green, someone is in the seat and belted, red, they are not. Just to the forward position of that, through the windshield area, is where you'll find your Haas system. Quick look to the rear, you have 2 forward-facing seats which do house SCBA brackets. Also, directly behind the driver's seat, you'll find a speaker. This is for your backup camera. It does have volume control, in addition with a fused breaker box. As we move back to the exterior, once again, auto eject shoreline inlet,
Just to the right of that location, the air inlet outlet, and then also a shutoff for that air inlet. Down to the base, Goodyear tires, steel wheel, and also visual sight gauge into that center axle area. As we move to the rear cab area, you'll find affixed to the door panel safety and warning placard information, manual window controls, door lock and latch, and a grab handle. Inside the cab area, you'll find push on and off red or white lens, your air conditioning unit, and additional speakers for your AM/FM radio. Heater control modules are down in the lower portion of the seat and also in the seat that has the compartment storage. As we look to the rear of the engine, you'll find your check location. Lift and turn latch will gain you access to the rear portion of the engine where you can do your daily checks for oil and transmission. I have an additional image here of the rear portion of the seat where you can see the speaker, and then also you'll see when plugged into Shoreline Power, those outlets on the vertical wall will be active. Behind the officer seat, you'll find 12-volt access via USB. We're now to the exterior portion. I'd like to point out on the rear portion of the cab wall is where you'll find telescoping lights. These are part of your scene lights. And as we move to the cross lays, you'll find cross lay number 1, cross lay number 2. And then just to the rear portion of that, toward the rear of the truck, you'll find cross lay, which is a 2.5 inch. These are all foam capable. As we move to the pump panel area, in the red area, you'll find your Husky foam system. Right next to that, operating instructions and also foam level. That's the red module area. Into the gray module area, you'll find your master intake and master discharge. Just below that, you'll find the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure, and those are currently plugged. These are utilized for testing purposes. As we move downward on the pump panel to the far left, you'll find the Husky 3 foam system specifications and instructions. Move up to the very top. This is where you'll find your pressure throttle governor. We'll come back to that in just a few moments. As we move across the discharges, you'll find number 1, 2, and the 2.5 inch cross lays clustered together. You'll also find your deluge on the upper portion, driver rear discharge, driver pre-connect A, and driver pre-connect B located on this upper portion. As we move down, you'll find the front discharge, and then all of our 2.5 inch discharges, and large diameter discharge on the passenger side, which is a wheel valve. Let's move just to the right of this location. We'll identify these items, first starting with your pressure throttle governor. Just to the right of that, you'll find a black round audible speaker that does rotate left and right, and that will dampen or brighten the sound of that speaker alarm. To the right, you'll find an OK to pump, indicating you've properly engaged your pump from within inside the cab, and also additional switches. Tank fill and recirculating line. Moving further down, you'll find the passenger side 2.5 inch pre-connect, water tank level indicator. In the upper corner, you'll find an engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. And then as we move further down, you'll find your tank to pump, and then also push primer. Let's move just to the left of this location and downward, where you'll find a warning placard indicating that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. Also, the minimum operational maintenance schedule for test pressures, which we'll go over in just a few moments. There are two 2.5 inch discharges located on this side, controlled from the pump panel. A warning placard indicating pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move further down, you'll find the Watrous placard indicating the type of pump that you have and GPM. And then also the driver's side auxiliary inlet, locally controlled via ball valve, female inlet. To the right, the Pierce logo American flag eagle. This is your large diameter pump inlet. As we move to the right, you'll find your manual pump shift, and then further to the right, pump drain. Moving further down to the very bottom section, an additional warning placard located here for foam. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Inside behind the pan door is your foam operational lever, and then also a foam drain. Let's move down to the far left-hand side of the pump panel. First, starting with your Watrous placard indicating that you have a 1,500 gallon pump, driver's side auxiliary inlet, 2.5 inch, locally controlled via the ball valve here, and it's also female inlet. At the very bottom, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move further to the right, you'll find that same foam placard that we mentioned earlier, where do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam. And then this is here going to be your foam draft or tank lever and also pickup tube. These are the foam lever located inside. There are instructions on the back of the door for its operation. For horizontal for operation and vertical for filling operation. Back to the Watrous placard indicating the capacity 1,500 GPM. As we move to the minimum operation maintenance schedule for test pressures at 150, 200, and 250 psi, the associated GPM is located on the left side of the placard, and on the right is the RPM. While in pump mode, your governed speed is 2,400 RPMs. Just below the side running board, you'll find the foam pump discharge drain and foam pump intake drain. As we move into the compartments next, at the very top section, upper left vertical wall, this is where you'll find your battery charger attached to the roof. When plugged into shoreline power, this becomes active. Also, you'll find a breaker panel located in the upper left-hand corner. This is for the S1, which stands for shoreline power. As we move to the very bottom of this compartment, you'll find LED lighting on each side and also a shelf and pull-out floor tray. As we move to the next compartment, we have a tool board located here. D-handle opens the tool board and reveals the back section along with pegboard on the rear wall. The release mechanism for the pegboard is on the hinge side. As we move into the compartments just in front of the axle, this is an SCBA or extinguisher storage location. As we move to the rear axle, Goodyear tires, once again, steel wheel. Moving further to the rear, you'll find the fill location for your ultra low sulfur diesel. It is the silver cap. Exposing the DEF cap, you pull the flap downward, and that gives you the 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. Right next to that, SCBA bottle storage location for one SCBA bottle. As we move to the rear of the apparatus, once again, we have a divider and then also a pull-out tray in the lower section. Full view, the driver's side. Let's move around to the rear and we'll identify a few of those things that we previously discussed. First, with those cup switches for the deck lights, rear scene lights, and hosebed lights. Moving up onto the panel, you'll find a warning placard indicating fall hazard. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Just below that, an additional warning regarding fall hazard. When climbing onto the vehicle or off, please face the vehicle. And then also we have a 2.5 inch discharge to the rear. And then also a warning sticker indicating that pressure hazard caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Let's move up toward the center area where you'll find an additional warning placard here regarding entanglement hazard. Because the lines coming from the hosebed area is the possibility of entanglement. Also, traffic advisor located here, and then just underneath that is your backup camera, which is directly above the Pierce logo. As we move to the roll-up compartment door in the very rear, we do have a pull-out tray in the lower section and also fold-down steps for gaining access to go aloft. As we move to the right side, this is the ladder storage area. There's a 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof, 10-foot attic, and also long-handled tool storage. In the upper right, we'll find the passenger side 2.5 inch pre-connect. As we move to the left side, which is the driver's side, pre-connect A and pre-connect B. They are 2.5s located at the front bulkhead. As we move around to the rear passenger side, adjustable shelving. Also in the upper portion of the compartment, we have a shoreline outlet that's active when plugged into shoreline power. As we move to the compartment directly over the axle, SCBA bottle storage for 4 bottles. Then moving to the forward SCBA bottle storage location, this would be directly in front of the rear axle. Just down from this location is our exhaust, and I'd like to point out extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operation. Please provide safety for the exhaust and be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move forward to this location, adjustable shelving and a pull-out tray in the lower portion. The release mechanism for these trays is located on the lower right-hand side. We're now to the midsection of the apparatus. At the very top sections are the cross lays. We've identified those earlier. Same access points, crosslay 1, crosslay 2, and a 2.5 inch, all three foam capable. Additional light on the back section of the cab, it is a pole light. As we move into the space of the panel, you do have an access door located here for a visual inspection into the panel plumbing area. Also a warning here regarding fall hazard. Once again, always face the vehicle while climbing on or off. This is the cab tilt monitor or cab lift. There are instructions to raise and lower, and also some caution and danger placard here. Because of the movement of that device, there is the possibility of injury. Moving also to your discharges and intakes. First, the American flag Eagle Pierce. This is the large diameter inlet. To the right, a pressure warning hazard, and then to the right, you'll find your large diameter discharge. Moving now just forward of this location, you'll find the 2.5 inch discharge. It appears it's neck down to 1.5 inches. As we move down to the very bottom, color-coded and labeled discharge drains across the very bottom section. And then also the passenger side auxiliary inlet, locally controlled via ball valve, female coupling. As we move into the cab area, at the rear portion, you'll find once again a fixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, manual window control, grab handle, door lock and latch. Overhead air conditioning, push on and off, white and red lenses, and then also speakers. As we move to the floor area, you can see the pedestal seats here located holding 2 SCBA packs, one in each, and then also an additional rear-facing SCBA seat on the driver's side. This compartment has exterior access only. Back to the front axle, Goodyear tire, steel wheel, and once again, visual sight gauge indicator. As we move into the officer space, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, window control, and also grab handle. As we move into the space of the officer area, you'll notice at the floor area, there is a foot pedal here in the lower left-hand corner. This is the foot pedal that controls the mechanical siren. Moving just to the right, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid, and then also just under the seat, you'll find an additional storage location here with ventilation. Moving back to the forward section, you'll find your MDT mount and portable radio. Also to the left, you'll find 12-volt access via barrel style and USB. Further to the left, you'll find some activation switches here, one for your air horn and one is the siren brake for your mechanical siren. Overhead of the officer position, we have a switch panel starting on the right-hand side. Let's go and identify those switches. First, starting with the emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of these rocker switches have been activated, the green light will illuminate, indicating the activation. Moving just to the left, you'll find your heavy-duty AM/FM weather band radio. We're back to the exterior with all compartments open. Let's go back into the hose bed area. Let's start first at the bulkhead where you can see the discharges on the left. There are 2. And then as we move just to the right, you'll find an additional discharge. This is a 2.5. The other 2 were 1.75 or 1.5. As we move to the dunnage, you'll find your water fill top section and also foam fill top section. Just to point out on the foam tank itself, we do have a warning placard here not to mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Also moving forward into the dunnage, you'll find your master stream device, and then just to the right of that location, you'll find your Husky 3. This is the hydraulic portion of the Husky 3 foam system. This is the reservoir. There is a fill location here also. General view of the dunnage area. As we move toward the cab section, this is a non-walking surface. We do identify that with the 2 stickers on the outer edge of the cab surface. As we look to the rear passenger and driver's side, this is where you'll find the trough for your suction hoses. There's one on the passenger and also one on the driver's side. As we look to the hose bed, you also have 3 hose bed dividers. They are movable. The next set of images will be that of the cab tilted, of the engine area, chassis, and also undercarriage of the vehicle. When you have activated the cab lift and the cab lift has been fully executed, place the bar into position. Do not lower the cab onto the safety bar located here on the frame rail. Maintain equal pressure on both left and right cab lift cylinders. As we move around to the rear portion of the engine, you can see up at the very top, this is your radiator recovery. This should not have fluid in it. It's okay if it does, but do not add fluid into that location. Power steering fluid. Our checks for oil and transmission. As we move to the driver's side battery box, on the very bottom section of the battery area is where you'll find the positive and negative jumper studs. Moving around to the rear of the battery storage location, you'll find a hydraulic reservoir. This is for your cab lift cylinders. Access to the pump panel area. There'll be no additional audio from this point on. Congratulations, Benton County Fire, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38653. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.